Alright guys, it is another day now, and I've been dreading today for a while now because I'm gonna be changing the spark plugs on the Rx8. But this is not actually the main reason why I've been dreading today. Is because while I'm gonna be changing the spark plugs, right, while I'm gonna be in that area, you guys might already see this coming, but I'm also gonna be doing a compression test on the Rx8. Now there's a few reasons why I've been wanting to do a compression test on the Rx8. Well, first of all, I've been daily driving this car for 2 years now in New York City, right? I'm really curious to see how the compression held up over the 2 years that I've been daily driving it. I do have the compression numbers of when I first bought the car as well, so I could compare it to see how much it lost, if any at all, compression. I'm really curious about that. And second, I've been pushing it a lot recently, just driving on the toll gates and stuff like that. I mean, I'm pretty sure you guys seen the videos of that. I'm really curious to see, how that affected compression, if any at all, because rotaries do like to live in a higher RPM and stuff like that, right? So there's just a lot of factors what makes me want to compression test the Rx8, but I guess the final reason is because I just want to know how healthy is the engine right now. It's kind of scary. It's been nerve-wracking because I've honestly been pushing this back. I was like, I'll do it this day, and then I was like, I'll do this day, just because I don't really want to find out. I'm scared to find out. I think the Rx8 is fine. I think the compression's good, and it'll be okay because it starts hot, cold, whenever, doesn't have any loss of power, and it's just been feeling amazing, right? But there's still a part of me that's in the back of my head. It's like, what if it's not as good as you think it is? That's what's been making me nervous. It's the only thing I could relate this to is let's say you're feeling perfectly healthy, you're not coughing, no nothing, right? And then you go into the doctor's office and you're gonna get a checkup for cancer, right? Even though you feel like you've been healthy and nothing's wrong, there's still gonna be a part of you that's like, what if, right? So that's how I'm feeling right now, and yeah, I'm kind of nervous. But I think it'll be good for me to know, and it'll be good to show you guys as well, because a lot of you guys have bought Rx8s because of me, and it's still crazy to think about that, but a lot of you guys send me pictures of your Rx8s and stuff like that you bought, and I guess if I could, I just really want to see what is how it held up over the past 2 years, and then maybe you guys could use some of that information for yourself if you want to pick up a Rx8 for a daily driver as well. But yeah, I'm not gonna delay it for too much longer. I am gonna get started here. I do need to warm up the car though, because the car is cold right now. You do want to have your car fully warmed up before you do a compression test, because if it is cold, you will get higher numbers than the actual numbers. Now I'm gonna warm it up. Originally my plan was to just take it out and drive around the block a few times, or maybe go on the highway, do a little loop or something, but I can't really do that today because there is a car blocking the driveway. Now I already called 311. I'm gonna have it towed and everything, but if you live in New York City, you already know how long that takes. I've had to do this multiple times. Sometimes it could take an hour, which is on the fast end, but sometimes it literally takes up to 9 hours. So I'm not gonna wait for the cops to show up before I actually start the compression test, obviously, because I could be here all day for all I know, or they could be here in an hour or so. But I'm not gonna wait around too long for that. I am just gonna warm up the car by just letting it idle. Now that's not the best for the car, but if you're just doing it once in a while, every while, it's not gonna be the end of the world. So I am just gonna be letting it idle to the part until it's fully warmed up, and then we'll go from there. I will also be using a scissor jack today because my actual jack here is broken. I don't really know what's wrong with it. It's leaking oil whenever I do the pump, so I'm assuming a gasket or something like that, or a seal is not working the way it's supposed to. But not the end of the world. I'll just use the scissor jack. I do have a jack stand here as well, so hopefully it'll be okay. But yeah, without further ado though, I am gonna get this process started. I'm gonna start up the car, and then we're gonna take off the wheel, and yeah. I'm still kind of nervous, but we gotta do what we gotta do, okay? So let's just get a cold start real quick. Alright, while the car is warming up, we're gonna get started and take off the driver's side wheel, or at least loosen it, and then we'll jack it up and take it off. Alright, so now that the car is at fully operating temperatures and it's all jacked up and secured by jack stands, we're gonna pop the hood here and we're gonna be pulling the fuel pump fuses so the car doesn't accidentally start up when we go to, you know, compression test it. So let's do that real quick. So in the fuse box covers, you're gonna get like these little tweezers. It was like, for me, it was like slotted in like, can't get it back on. Oh, right, there we go. It was slotted in here like this. I'm just gonna pull this out because this is what we're gonna be using to pull this 10 amp right here. This is gonna be for the relay, fuel pump relay. If I just get it out. There we go. This is that, and then this is gonna be for the fuel system right here. So we're just gonna pull that out as well. This should just be able to pull this out with our hands. All right, maybe I need to put the camera down. There we go. I'm gonna pull that out and we're gonna leave it right there. And that should cut the fuel delivery system to the car. And yeah, and we should be able to just compression test it from here. All right, so under the car here, right, we could really see where the spark plugs are. Hopefully you guys will be able to see it through the lighting, but you guys can see the 4 spark plugs are. So 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So there's where our 4 spark plugs are gonna lie, and we're gonna be changing those out. Now for the rotary engines, you do use a little bit different spark plugs than traditional piston engines, right? We gotta use the laser iridium spark plugs. Now these are, I don't really exactly know like the exact detail of what the difference between these and the piston ones. I just know that they're different. I know that they need to do a lot more work in the rotary engines because it ignites. Sorry, I heard a car like moving. I was like, oh, I think the person finally left my driveway. Look at that. Look at that. So we could take the car for a little test drive afterwards, but the car's already warmed up already, so you know we don't gotta worry about warming it up from there. But what was I saying? Yeah, the spark plugs are different. I don't exactly know 100% like exactly what all the differences are, but they are different. And then there's also trailing plugs and leading plugs. So I just gotta make sure I put them in the right spot when I go to install them. So the top one should be the trailing, and then the ones on the bottom should be the leading plugs. So we're just gonna do one housing at a time. So the first 2 plugs on that side, that is for the front rotor, and then the other 2 plugs in the back, that is for the rear rotor. So to compression test it, we're just gonna do one rotor at a time. And let's pull out the tester kit here. So for this compression test, we're gonna be using the official rotary compression tester. Now I highly recommend getting one of these if you guys are gonna be in like the rotary game for any amount of time. I know a lot of you guys bought Rx8s because of me. I see them all in the Instagram messages, right, and on the YouTube comments. I love that you guys are buying these cars because these are just such great cars. But one good way and the most reliable way to see how healthy the engine is and like how healthy the compression is by doing a rotary compression test. Now you could do this with a piston engine like a tester, right? But you do need to convert that into reading it for like the rotary. So it's a lot of things goes into it, and it would just save you a lot of trouble, and you get the most accurate information if you just buy a rotary compression tester. I think this specific one was like $300 something. I know that's a little bit expensive, but think about it, right? This is gonna save you a lot of headache in the future. If this saves you from buying a bad car, this is gonna be worth all that $300 and more. And plus, if you're planning to stay in the rotary game, right, then this will just serve you a lot longer in the future than anything else. Like pretty much any tool that you could buy, this is going to be a lifesaver. So highly recommend it. I know there's cheaper alternatives to this. I'm going to pop them up on screen if you guys want to save a little bit of money, but I think that this is the best one, so I highly recommend this. But anyways, I am going to need to pull the trailing plugs out from underneath the I'm losing my train of thought. I hope it's not gonna rain. The sky's looking kind of pale right now, so let's just try to get this done. We're gonna pull this top spark plugs out, and we're gonna plug this bad boy in, and then we're gonna compression test it. All right, so in the cabin of the car, we took out both trailing spark plugs already, so that's the ones on the top. We took them both out, and we got the sensors connected into the rear housing right now. So all that's really left to do is to crank the thing. Now I already let the adapter here adjust to our altitude and sea level. So all that's really left to do is for me to floor it, like keep my gas pedal to the ground, just to avoid any fuel delivery accidentally happening, even though I pulled both the plugs, and then start cranking. Not gonna lie, I'm kind of scared. So let's put this tester down right here, right? And then we'll look at the numbers together. So we have the tester right here. if you guys could see it. Hopefully, maybe I should put it right here for better lighting, if that's any better at all, actually. Right? Okay, maybe that's not so good. Right. Keep the tester right here, and then I'm gonna insert the key and we're gonna start cranking, all right? You guys ready? I'm scared. Okay, let's go. Oh, what happened? Oh, right, I gotta put the clutch in as well. Shit. All right. Let's go. All right, let's see these numbers here. So once it adjusted for altitude and RPM, 8.1, 7.9, that's actually pretty good. Hold up, let me read this again because I missed it. So this is at 275 RPM, right? But it'll adjust it for 250, so PSI, and then this is kg2, so I'm looking for bars here. So bar 8.0, 7.8, 7.8. Hey, that's actually really good numbers. That's actually a lot better numbers than what I got when I first bought the car. Which doesn't make much sense because it doesn't make sense for compression to increase, right? But that's only the first read. So let's crank it one more time, and we'll crank it one more time and see if the readings change at all. So floor it, clutch pedal. Okay, second run. Let's see what it says here. 117, 116, so adjusted. We were looking for the bar because that's what I know how to read. 8.0, 8.0, 7.6. Yo, that's actually really good. I guess I should have talked about this, but 9 is pretty much like the absolute best you could have. And anywhere in the 8s is really damn good. Like that's almost freshly rebuilt territory of like pressure of compression. So having it in the 8s, it's actually really good. I'm shook because when I compression tested the car when I bought it, it was lower than this. We'll talk about more of the results afterwards, but let me do another run, and I want to record this one on my phone this time because I'm going to send it to my Rotary Rebuilder. He's the guy that Alfast, you guys know him. You've seen him on the channel. He builds rotary engines. He's a good friend of mine. I'm going to see what he thinks about these numbers. So I'm going to put the camera down. We're going to switch over to my phone view, and we're going to see what that's like. All right, I just got it hooked up to the front rotor now. We're gonna start the cranking test all over again. So let's just move it right over here, and you know, let me adjust the lighting so you guys can see the numbers better. There we go. I should have done this earlier so you guys could read it. All right, but anyways, we're gonna do the rear rotor. I mean the front rotor now. So gas all the way in. Right, where's the best position for this? Right, gas in. We're gonna start cranking now. I mean, like just seeing 120s all around is really impressive. Let's see the bar, 7.8, 7.8, 7.9. That is still really good. Like I don't know if you guys understand how like well those numbers are. Here, let me increase the brightness again because you know I lowered it OD so you guys can read the numbers. But yeah, having it in the 7.8 is really good. We're gonna go over the numbers again once I finish wrapping up here, right? Like I'm gonna sit down inside and we're gonna talk about the numbers more in depth and compare it to my old ones. But just seeing all of this, I don't know, it's pretty good. It's pretty damn good. So let's just do another 2 runs. That's good. And the 8 as well. Third run. .5, 7.5, 7.7. So it does seem like overall the front rotor is averaging less. I'm just gonna do one more run for most accurate results and we're gonna average it out. The RPMs are climbing higher and higher, so that means my starter is good at least. Yeah, 7.8, I mean 7.7, 7.9. Honestly, I'm impressed. Alright, so I got all 4 plugs out right now. We're just gonna take a look at them real quick before we put the new leading plugs in. So this is the leading plugs, which is the ones on the bottom, and then these are the 2 trailing plugs. Now, these 2 are for the rear housing, these 2 are the front housings, right? So let's just take a look at what our spark plugs look like over the past 2 years. So, just real quick, I mean, they're not super, you know, I mean, this one does, it's not focusing the way I want it to right now. This one does seems to have a little corrosion at the end here near the rear. Not really sure what would cause it, right? But overall, it's not drenched in like grease or gas or anything like that. So I will take that as a win. And then this is the rear leading plugs, which the ends of it does look a little bit more burnt and corroded. It has been 2 years, and some of it was pretty hard driving on the tollgate. So I don't know if this is like, you know, normal wear and tear. I mean, this one does look pretty bad now that you're looking at it here, right? So I think new plugs would do a lot of good for this car. So overall, I don't think the rear housing is terrible shape. It's definitely not as good as it could be, but you know, it has been 2 years of driving in New York City, and about a year of tollgate runs as well. So the front housings, I think, is doing a little bit better. This one doesn't look as like corroded, but it does have quite a burnt on the end right here. Again, not 100% too sure what this really means. If you guys know, let me know in the comment section below. And these are the leading plugs. This one's looking a little bit more corroded. Yeah, it just looks like all the leading plugs are looking a little bit more corroded. So I'm not 100% sure exactly what that means in terms of engine health. Someone blocking, no, okay. I don't really know exactly what that means in terms of engine health, right? But if you guys do have an idea, let me know in the comment section below. I think the next time I do an oil change, I'm gonna do like a little Blackstone lab test, just so I could test the quality. I mean, I could test how the oil quality is like, and then it will be able to tell me how my apex seals are wearing and all that stuff as well. But overall, I don't think these are as bad as what the spark plugs looked like when I got the car. I'll toss some pictures here if I can find it. But overall, not too bad. But now that we have all the old plugs out and I put in the new trailing plugs already, I'm just gonna put in the 2 leading plugs, and then we're gonna take it for a little test drive to see, just to make sure the car starts and everything. Alright guys, it's another day now. I've driven about like a whole nother day with the new spark plugs in. Honestly feels kind of good. I'm not sure if this is like a placebo effect or whatnot, but everything feels a lot smoother. Ever since I put the new spark plugs in, I feel like the idle's gotten a bit smoother and the throttle response has gotten smoother. But I could just be talking about out of my ass here because, you know, placebo effect. But I just want to talk about not the suspension, the compression test real quick while I'm here, right? So I did say I was going to talk about it, and I have a little theory on why I think the compression test the compression numbers increased from when I bought the car. So I'm going to put on screen right now what my compression was looking like when I bought the car. I do have it on my phone here as well. So it was not averaging, but like it was getting numbers from around like, you know, 7.4 to 6.9, even a 6.8, which I guess before I even talk about the compression numbers, I want to talk about what good compression is. I'm gonna throw up a little chart here. It's not the most accurate chart in the world, but the numbers do play pretty well together. Alright guys, future Jerry cutting in here real quick, just because I don't think I did the best job at explaining what all those compression numbers meant, right? So I'm gonna try to do it again better right now. Alright, so what I meant when I said that chart wasn't like the most accurate information is not because the chart is like completely wrong, right? It's not. The numbers are generally still correct, but what I mean by it's not like the most accurate is because when the chart says like, you know, the compression is already starting to get in the red or it's in the red, a lot of the times from what I've seen in the rotary community, the engine still runs. So for example, like 6 bars on the chart is saying you're approaching rebuild territory, but from what I've seen in the rotary community and the years of like, you know, the research I've done and just spending time on the Rx8 forums, Rx7 forums, etc, right, 6 bars you're still looking pretty good. So, you know, I think the chart is just a little bit exaggerated in the terms of when it says like, you know, your engine compression is in the red or not. So I'm going to put on screen right now a chart of what I think is more accurate, not really a chart, but like, you know, what I think is more accurate of what each compression means. And I'm also going to be using bar in this chart, and the reason why I'm using bar instead of PSI is just honestly because I'm much more used to reading all the rotary compressions than bar. Like I said, I spent a lot of years just researching rotary engines right before I even bought the Rx8, and then especially after I bought the Rx8, spent a lot of times on Rx7, Rx8 forums, and a lot of the times when people talk about rotary compression, they all use bar. So that's just what I'm more used to reading. But if you want it in PSI, you know, I'll try to include a little PSI reading next to the bars so you guys have a better understanding of what each of those numbers mean. So I just want to talk about how, like, what each number means and how good of a compression it is, right? We're just gonna start from the top to bottom. So like 9 bar is freaking amazing compression, right? That's like well over 120 psi per rotor. There's gonna be 3 numbers for each of, like, when you do a rotary compression test, there's gonna be 3 numbers, right? And each one of those numbers just means the compression on each face of the rotor, because there's three faces of the rotor. I will talk about that a little bit later, but 9 bar is really high compression. I don't think you will ever see 9 bar in any rotary engine. Like the Renesis is pretty much the highest compression you could get on a rotary on a 13B, and even then, like, I never see 9 bars. Like maybe like a brand new motor with brand new every single part, you might get 9 bar, but even then I feel like high 8s is more likely what you will end up seeing, like 8.5, 8.5, 8.7, around that area, right? And that's really high, like a brand new motor. That's pretty much what 9 bar is. And then going down from that, 8 is still really good. 8.5 is like, you know, what some rebuilt motor ends up being, like, you know, compression testing at, like 8 to 8.5. Really high compression numbers. They're amazing. You, at that point, you never really need to worry about, like, don't even think about rebuilding your engine anytime soon. You'll be good. Take care of it. It'll run for like literal years. You might even get like another 150,000 miles out of your rotary if you take care of it the right way. So 8, you're just good. Don't worry about it. 7, anywhere in the 7s. Now on the chart, it says like 7 is approaching the red line, right? I just don't think that make any sense at all. I don't think that part's accurate. From what I've seen, from all of the time I spent on the Rx8 forums and Rx7 forums and Reddit and stuff like that, right? 7 is pretty average. 7, I think, is above average, actually. 7s, you still don't need to worry about like rebuilding your engine anytime soon. Your compression is good. Just keep driving it, keep taking care of it. You're gonna get a lot of mileage out of that motor. There should be no loss of power. You're good. You're good, all right? Just if you're in the 7s, don't even worry about it. Just keep driving. 6, on the chart, I think it says like 6 is in the reds. It's honestly not. 6 is still pretty average. That's probably the numbers I see the most from when people compression test their cars on the Rx8 forums, Rx7 forums, and etc. 6 is still pretty, like, you know, it's not great, but it's still, you know, it's good enough. You'll run, the car will run as long as your ignition system is healthy and everything. You shouldn't have any issues of hot start, cold starts, and etc. The car will start, drive, and get you to wherever you need to go. You know, just maybe potentially start saving your money for that potential rebuild, because as the compression gets lower and lower from like 9 bars, 8 bar to 7 bar to 6 bar, once it gets to a certain point, it will accelerate a lot faster. You will lose compression a lot faster just due to blow by. So, you know, you just got to keep that in mind. So once you're in the 6s, maybe like don't worry about it too much. If you're in the high 6, low 6, start, you know, if you're approaching like 6.2, anything less than 6.5, you know, just start putting some money aside, you know, but don't worry about it too much. When you're approaching the 5, I think it's when you're like, you know, so you better have been saving money, because, you know, at this point you're gonna lose compression a lot faster due to blow by, and, you know, you will definitely be experiencing loss of power. You're probably gonna be having hot start issues. If you have a really beefy ignition system, maybe you could, like, I don't know, like, bypass some of those startup issues, but even then, like, you should be experiencing issues once you're approaching 5 bar, and anything below that is just like, how is your car even running, right? So that's what really all those numbers mean. I don't think I did the best job at explaining it the first time, so hopefully this clears it up a lot better. But yeah, I'm gonna switch it back to past Jerry, and I think I did a better job at explaining the rest of the stuff there. So the test that I got, which is average around like 7.9 to 8.1, and so there's 3 numbers on each phase there's 3 numbers on the compression test, right? So each of one of those numbers is for each face of the rotor. So there's a rotor, it's a triangle. I got my keys here. I got the perfect example to show you guys. Look at this. Got this little rotary keychain, right? So each face of the rotor here, each apex seal essentially, right? You're testing the compression of each face of the rotor. So if one number is like significantly lower than the other, it's a pretty good sign that one apex seal is wearing faster than the other. But each one of those compression, I'm getting an average between 8.1 to 7.5 being the lowest. I think that's still an acceptable range, but from what I'm seeing from the numbers that I got right here, I'll pull it back up. So for example, in my front rotor, I got 8.1, 7.9, and 7.5. So 8.1 and 7.9 is, you know, really close to each other, and then we got one number that's 7.5, which is only about a 0.4 of a difference in bar wise from the median. I think that is still acceptable, but we can conclude that probably, potentially, this is for my front rotor by the way, so 8.1, 7.9, and 7.5. We could conclude maybe one of my apex seals is wearing a little bit faster than the other two. This is just a theory because I don't know 100%. I did speak to a rotary builder, my friend Alfas, who does own a rotary shop, and I got a little bit of his insight on why my compression could have potentially increased from when I bought it. So I'm gonna have the two here, or 4 images. These are gonna be the ones from when I first bought the car. These are gonna be the one from after the compression test that I did like literally yesterday. So you guys can compare the numbers here. My theory on why the compression increased, the previous owner was an older guy when I bought the car, right? And he did not really rev the car. He didn't even know like the beeping sound at the red line because I wanted to make sure that was working. I was like, does it still make that little beeping sound? And when you hit the red line, it's like, I never redlined the car. So not redlining a rotary is pretty bad because you do build up a lot of carbon deposit in each face of the rotor. So when you do bring it up to red line, it clears out that carbon deposit and it does create a little bit better of a space for compression. I'm assuming that once I bought the car and cleared out all of the carbon deposit, because I do redline it pretty frequently, not only for fun, but you know, it is part of maintaining the rotary engine. Once I cleared out some of that carbon deposit, potentially that could have created an increase in compression, and premixing does increase in compression because you're adding oil to the combustion chamber. Anytime you have oil in the combustion chamber, you will increase your compression. I think those two factors are the main thing that's probably playing a role into the increased compression over the 2 years I've been daily driving the car. And I do have a screenshot of my message with Alfas, which is a rotary. He is a rotary builder. He's been building rotary engines from like since he was a kid. So he also did give me a little confirmation that's most likely the case. It was between the rev and the premix that caused an increase in compression. I wasn't 100% sure if you could ever see an increase in compression, but after seeing that test, plays into the theory a little bit. But again, I'm not an expert, right? I'm just listening to things that people said, and that's my personal theory on it. But hey, if anything that I could conclude from this test is that you don't really got to worry about rotary reliability. I think that's the one thing that most people like worry about when they're getting into Rx8, Rx7. You always hear about apex seals blowing out, your coolant jacket blowing out, but that still could be a thing, right? That has nothing to do with compression. But you know, apex seals, I think as long as you do your proper maintenance, you're letting the car warm up, and before you push it, and you're premixing and you're doing everything like that, I think you're looking pretty good. If I was able to daily drive this car for 2 years in New York City, and not only did I not lose compression, but I actually gained some compression. Granted, I think you should take this test with a little bit of caveat because my car only has 41,000 miles, and that is pretty low. A lot of the marketplace Rx8s that you will find is above, like, you know, maybe even like 80, 100,000. Maybe they've already been rebuilt a few times, right? And you don't know what the previous owner has done to it, and etc, etc. So, you know, take this test with a little bit of caveat on top, but I think this goes to show a lot about rotary reliability. It's not as bad as everyone makes it out to seem online, and that's honestly the main reason why I started this channel. So, you know, I really want to show you guys that you could daily drive a rotary and you don't really got to worry about all that stuff that people are saying online. And I think this test really just proved it. And it honestly took a lot of stress out of me, because when I was doing that test, I was really worried maybe my compression is a lot lower than I thought it would be, and I'm glad that it wasn't. So I'm really happy with this compression test. And yeah, you guys, hopefully you guys don't take this video as a tutorial on how to compression test your car, because I know I didn't show a lot of the stuff. But if you guys do have any questions or comments or concerns, just let me know in the comment section below, and I will try to get back to you as soon as I can, or just DM me on Instagram like you guys already do. But yeah, with that said, I think this is a perfect place to conclude the video. I haven't done like an outro where I'm just not doing like, hey guys, all right, welcome to the end of the video. But you know, this is gonna be one of those, because I just feel like this is the perfect place to conclude. I think it's a really good place to conclude with good compression numbers. So yeah, without further ado, you know, until the next one, guys. Yes, I really don't got much else to say. So remember, the world's a crazy place, and you guys do gotta do your part to stay safe out there, right? So yeah, until the next toll gauge run, peace.